What's goody? What's goody? My boy Panic just dropped some motherfucking heat. Not too long ago, a few weeks ago, this last week. But he was like, man, let me see if y'all can handle this. And he brought up photosynthesis being the reason we trapped down here. Oh, sidebar. I know a boy be inconsistent with the videos for many different reasons. Well, I promise you, I got 2 podcasts. One already made, and another one all the outline and everything made for. I just got to record it. I got to get a keyboard because it's on my video on my computer, and I can't upload them until I get the keyboard. But I'm gonna get that soon. Just gotta get the money up. Well, it ain't even that expensive, but I'm just waiting. But beyond that, y'all stay tuned for those. But I had to drop this ASAP because what he said, bro, it was it just was out there. So he was like, photosynthesis may be the reason that we're trapped here. I'm like, what? All right, just talk to me, Panic. Let me hear where you're going with this. He was like, just like how we leave through the sun, we come here through this. We come here through the sun. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, well, trees is what absorb light. And he was like, the trees and photosynthesis is what brought you here, because we're light. I'm like, well, everything clicked when I go to like check, when I go to see if something resonate with me. I don't just see if it resonates with me. I see if it resonates with science, history, religion, and as many different checkpoints as I can correlate it to. Them hoes hit all the fucking checkpoints, especially science and anything dealing with spirituality and talking about we're light reflecting light, or stars and all this other shit. So I'm like, well, yeah. And then we always talk about just get to the end point. We always talk about how we always focus on a tree of life. And I would correlate that to that being worldly and us getting stuck in worldly things. And we thinking, oh, the tree of life is everything. Tree of life come in many different versions, and we get stuck in many different trees. That's what Panic is really saying. But even go to it, it's like, yeah, we get stuck in a tree of life, but we never acknowledge the tree of death or wisdom or darkness, which is the way to get out, in a sense. And many other different, the shadow self, the shadow realm, which holds most of the truths to the life that we live in. So I'm like, okay, I understand that. Now I'm like, how can I go even deeper in that? We all come here and be absorbed by different trees of life. Well, let's just say different branches of the trees of life. But honestly, some of these branches have grown so big they became their own versions of trees themselves. And yeah, people latch on to them and eat the fruit of these trees. The problem is, what trees are you hanging on to? Well, let's just say this. What trees you hanging on to and what fruit you eating. For the niggas that's listening to Panic and spirituality, any tree is damn near trash, because that's dealing with the human natures and life. And we trying to get past those trees and shit like that. So, but just to bring it down to how most people are in this world, and still attracted to certain trees and shit like that. Are you eating from healthy trees that's cultivating your spirit to a point where you don't need those trees anymore? To a point where you're your own tree? That will be the thing, because we all can say that this universe or this earth is alpha. It's running shit. Mother Nature and the worldly natures run shit. We have no choice but to follow it. We try to gain as much control as we can, but at the end of the day, we're all subjugated to whatever the fuck this earth and this universe want to do. So moving past that, we all can see how, well, damn, I think I want to make my own tree of life. And I talk about heaven, creating our own kingdoms and all that shit, and creating our own universe, because that's gonna be a part of. Okay, so maybe this was perfect timing, because my podcast that I got coming up next that I haven't recorded yet kind of deal with similar shit like this. So creating your own universe. And honestly, we all know that our universe need work, because that's why we here. We wouldn't be in somebody else's world and under somebody else's control unless we had our shit together. So this mother or this earth or this universe is like our parent. And they're trying to guide us through certain lessons, whether good, bad, harsh, bitter, sweet, or whatever. They're guiding us to become our own universe, in our own world, in our own tree, which should be a tree of life and darkness. We shouldn't be stuck on just one tree, honestly. It's a mix of both. But dualism is easy to get split up in a sense. But let's move past that. So, like I said, what trees are you eating from? Those are the ones, bro, that you can. Oh, I'm off a little bit. I got off a little topic a little bit. My bad. Rewind. So past the trees that you're eating and the fruit that you're eating from the trees, we understand everybody has fruit that they eat from and trees that they fuck with. Whether it's religion, whether it's feminism, whether it's occultism, whether it's red pill, pink pill. These are all trees that give people nourishment, energy, and power. The tree probably gets more power from you than you get from it, because your light is a strong source. And these things, they don't really nourish us like they should be, especially most of the trees that's in mainstream, which are usually low-hanging fruit as well, which is, like I say, not that much not too much nutrition in those. But let's move past that. We all know that there's many trees that we get stuck onto, and if, like I said, if you're on that level of getting past humanity, you wouldn't get caught up on any one of those trees, because you realize those trees are just the religion that you formed. Veganism, that's a tree that became a religion. I already said feminism, red pill, pink pill. Those are all becoming religions. Feminism, that's been a religion. You can see the women that it's producing now. So that tree been around. So at the end of the day, we all know that these trees are only tools. And if you get caught up making them everything, you get trapped. Your light get completely absorbed by that tree until you can detach from it and realize you're really more than that. Honestly. So let's move past that. I think that's pretty simple for the ones and the people that, that's really trying to move past humanity. Obviously, certain trees are fun to hang on to, fun to swing on, fun to monkey branch off of. But ultimately, a lot of us, how they say, external things make us. The certain trees give you certain validation and make you feel like you have certain value, instead of realizing you give really the value to that tree. Because without your light and the lights of others, that tree wouldn't be shit. But it's always in reverse. It's the same thing. You can see it with the modern day celebrity. What they say, celebrities be stunned with the money that you gave them. They couldn't be shit without you. Yeah, they're talented, they're everything, but without your light, they become nothing. Or they are nothing, because, in reality, when it comes to this world and becoming successful, if you don't have light shining on you, bro, you're nothing. If you don't have light to back up what you're talking about, you're nothing. You're dark. Everybody has darkness. Can your light shine bright enough to expose that darkness? That's the thing. And most of us, usually that light, we're not using that light on ourselves, so our darkness never get exposed. Meanwhile, the light we're using is exposing the darkness of other things, and their intent and their wishes and their dreams and what they want to be fulfilled in life, whether it's a business, corporation, or whatever. And ultimately, if they're not giving back to you, which most things, like I say, in this world is parasitic, you end up getting trapped, because all they're gonna do is try to manipulate you into negotiating you to, hey, keep bringing your light this way. They're gonna come up with new marketing tactics. The marketing tactics, advertisement, these are all just clever ways and clever names to, hey, this is how we're gonna get your attention. This is how we're gonna attract your light. They got it down to a science with the colors, and many different things to make you to say what you're attracted to and what not attracted to. So, man, it's so much dealing with this topic. I know I'm gonna dive into it even more, but what else I had to say with it? What else? I had one more point. We're just getting trapped here. Oh man, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. Because you think you come here to cultivate these trees of life after a while. After so long, you don't even worry about your tree. You don't worry about your universe. You get so caught up in cultivating these other trees. And a lot of times it's unintentional because we don't even know it. We think we be benefiting ourselves whole time going to religion, whole time believing in feminism, red pill, pink pill. Whole time that shit just putting you more down the rabbit hole. More down the rabbit hole. It's not really giving you the full truth. It's half truths, fourths of the truth. biased truths, but it's never the whole truth. So yeah, it's shit that you can get from it, but you never get the full nourishment, which leaves you hanging onto the tree a lot longer than you have to. And like I said, that only benefits the tree, because you're like I'm just talking now, but you're like an orphan basically, and the adoption parents or the adopted parents get money whether they take care of you well or not, and it's their benefit to keep you in their household. That's the same thing with these trees of life, and I talk about it with I talk about gods that we all follow and lords that we are up under and don't even know. I talk about gods like Cardi B, or gods like what other gods out there? Shit, feminism is a god. Red pill is a god. You call it tree of life, you call it God, you call it whatever. But to make you understand it more than just a God, because when you think of God, you think about this thing that's just all giving. You don't think about what it needs to receive or what it's requiring for you, what it's requiring of you before it ever gives something back to you. So that's a difficult conversation. But when it comes to a tree, you understand if you're light, that tree is sucking your light at all times. And if you're not reaping any benefits, it's like going to work every day and you putting in work, but them niggas like, I know we supposed to pay you bi-weekly, but we're gonna push this week to we're gonna push this next check to next week or next month. Like, nigga, what? But you still need to come to work every day or you're gonna get fired. Like, nigga, what? Like, that's basically what these trees of life are offering and asking. But yeah, and through many manipulations and tricks, they keep you in certain circumstances where you stay in that way, and whether it's to have a certain mindset that keep you trapped in those trees, or just certain circumstances that keep you trapped in those trees. But those gods are very clever. But yeah, like I said, when it goes into the trees, you can see it. It's like, bro, I'm not about to let my light keep getting drained if I don't directly benefit from this shit. And I whether it's short term or long term, I better be able to see it logically and clearly, because you damn sure taking and taxing me. You damn sure taking my light. And that's what we don't realize about this world in general. This world sucks light. This society sucks light. This universe sucks light. And I don't remember if I talked about this yet, but I was planning on talking about it. It's a Doctor Strange quote at the end of the movie, or in the beginning, when she first blasted him off into another dimensions and shit and touched his third eye. She was like, there's universes that are hungry, there's universes that are forgiving, there's universes that's unforgiving, harsh, bitter, there's universes that's sweet, there's universes that's balanced. These are all dimensions or realities in a sense, but that we can all tap into spiritually for the most part. But physically, this universe is hungry. It never stops eating. When they talk about the belly of the beast and the void, that's the unfulfillable void that we have, the black hole that this society's in these this universe is running off of, is never satisfied. So when you think about shit like that, my God, no, he could have let me over. But when you think about shit like that, what was I saying? That motherfucker distracted me. Man, what was I on? What the fuck was I on? Requiring payment back. Understanding what? Oh, there's many different universes. And the universe that we're in now, some people will argue that it's transforming and transmuting into something else. And maybe that's what people talk about, the golden age. But I'm not so convinced until I see it. But for the most part, this is a hungry ass universe. And there's many different explanations that even your body, bro, your body, your mind, your energy in general, just being in this world is always hungry. Nothing's nourishing enough. Everybody's malnourished, whether it's spiritually, nutritionally, I don't know, I just made that shit up. Whether it's nutritionally, spiritually, physically, everybody's malnourished when it comes to something. So it's like, yeah, we have these trees, we have many trees, but for some reason, these trees are growing abundant. These trees are reaching new people, reaching new heights every day with our light. Think about Tesla. This nigga's making he's doing what it took niggas hundreds of thousands of years to do in decades because of our light. Like, period. So why did I bring up Bezos and people like him? Oh, that's a tree. That's Amazon's a god. That's a tree. It provides, it shades as far as security. It does everything you need. It's a tree. It's a universe. It's a whole world. It got millions of bodies that it take care of and many different moving parts. But it all aligns to one goal, a universe. Universe. One verse, a million perspectives that come from that verse. Or just like a picture, 1,000 pictures from one parable, or one picture, or whatever, 1,000 words from one picture, one parable. So, what else? Amazon, beast. That's a tree of life. So, why did I mention that being a tree of life? I don't know. I'm getting to it. Let me think real quick. Most trees are not giving back, even though you would consider that tree to be abundant, productive, but it's only abundant and productive for a certain group of people in that ecosystem of that tree. So a lot of times, a lot of the people that's producing and getting energy and their light to that don't receive the benefits like some of the people at the top, which is shit. They overnourish. What do you call it? They obese because there's an imbalance. So that goes into a lot of the malnourishment that goes on in this world spiritually and physically too. One side of it ain't getting shit while the other side is hoarding everything. So a lot of these trees, you can see how it can be productive if you put your head down, if you put the work in. But a lot of times, these trees need you to stay at worker level. They don't want you to rise up. They're not trying to make sure you're growing as a person. They're not trying to make sure your tree is shiny, because that takes away from their tree. Them niggas are monopolizing everything they can, whether it's you or any other business like it. So why would it try to grow and help you be independent? What Jesus said is you teach it, you don't feed them fish, you teach them how to fish. They reversed that shit and was like, nah, we're going to just keep feeding them and keep letting them rely on us, because if they ever learn how to fish, we become less, they don't need us as much. We become less attractive to them because they're independent. Same with government. Government is only attractive to people that are not thinking for themselves. A government can only exist around people that are not free thinkers, or not at least comfortable with thinking on their own or whatever. But y'all know what my point is that I'm trying to make. So beyond that, a lot of these trees are just not, they can be nourishing if you work there for years, if you slave away, if you get lucky. There's many different scenarios that can play out in these trees, because these trees are making millionaires, billionaires. But like I said, a lot of times these trees are draining your light and not putting back into you as much as it should be. That's the truth. That's the truth. So what Panic said about us getting trapped down here from these trees, and then the thing is, when we get tired of one tree, we go to another tree, then another tree, not ever realizing the root of the transformations. We keep looking for a better tree to make us feel better about our life, instead of realizing all these trees are just tools, and you just have to figure out how to grow yourself. Use these tools to grow yourself, and you'll be everything. But we look for those trees to be everything, and they'll never be that, because, if there's a tree like that, it's hidden. It's hidden. They're not going to give it out to everybody. Why? Because that tree's too productive and it's going to take away from their bottom line. So, yeah, most trees that'll be like that, that's mutualistic and giving freely or giving abundantly, like they hide those. GameStop is, for example, these trading options. Like they like, let's mitigate this shit a little bit. Let's slow this shit down a little bit. Let's put some bad news on it. Let's scare people. Let's put fear taxes into that shit. Let's play with the market to fuck with people's minds, because they know people are becoming rich and reclaiming their time and reclaiming their money, their power, and their wealth back, instead of just putting all their shit into another tree that's not gonna give them any type of security, especially long term. If you're looking for security in any tree in this world, it's a joke. The only security in this world is yourself. That's the truth. So, for instance, for me, I won in football. I learned a lot in that tree. Don't get it twisted. Like, a lot of times we jump from tree to tree until we fully learn who we are. That's what these trees are for, to learn ourselves. But a lot of times these trees are going to put you in the back, tell you to not think about who you are as a person, and to forget who you are. You're a team. You're Amazon. You do this for this. You do this for the. You live for us. You give for us. We're family, but they love to throw we're family. Every business is song, we're family, but the only people that benefiting in this family is the upper management. Meanwhile, the kids got to do all the chores and shit. So, yeah, that's the game we play. That's the game we play. So a lot of times the trick is standing these trees just to ride them. It's just like trading stocks. Ride these trees with the trend. Long as it's growing and causing you, long as you're growing and you're seeing the steps being made and all this different stuff, you're on the right trend. That tree's working for you. But as soon as you start to see that this, not as soon as, but once you start to realize consistently that this tree is starting not to be as productive, it's starting to lose productive, it's starting to trend the opposite way that it was trending when I first started, then it's time to move on and find another tree that is matching your production and matching the trend that you're looking for. Until you're the trend. You ride the wave so long until you become the wave. A lot of times we never become the wave because we're always taught to focus on somebody else's wave. Because it's like, oh, your wave's little. Don't worry about that. Just follow me, love me, ride with me. And if you get, most of the time, they're not even going to worry about you having a wave. That's just reality. So, you like I said, you ride these trends until you can become the trend. And then people are looking to ride you. And not to a point where it's weight on my shoulders. Like, when I say they riding you, it's because your light is shining. Your universe, having multiple people that depends on you in your universe doesn't even affect it or falter it. That's something that's expected. Because, I mean, once you become productive, you're going to use it all for yourself. I mean, you're going to help people around you, the people you love, the people you care about. So that's going to become natural, especially if you become the trend, if you become the wave. So, yeah, you ride these trends, you come and fuck with these trees of life until you find yourself. Trees of life and darkness, I should add. I don't want to just say trees of life because a lot of people forget a tree of dark. You need both of them. Both of those trees are going to, you can't get through life without either one. So let's explain that. Tree of life have different branches that created different trees, right? I talked about that. Same with the tree of darkness. There's many different branches of darkness that you can go down that have trees of life that can help you grow and abundant. And then you also can get stuck and lost in darkness. Just like you can get stuck and lost in light or life. Many people are gothic and can't get out of it. Many people are depressed and can't get out of it. Many people are, darkness is not just considered a negative connotation, but many people are stuck in their creative mind but can't let it shine out. Many people have wisdom but cannot put it into action. So you have to be able to also be able to use trees of darkness. What's my time? Damn, I did host. I couldn't pause on accident. All my headphones came out, so it cut it off. So yeah, so same with the tree of darkness. There's many different versions of darkness. It's not as many trees of darkness as it is of light. I would say that because I mean, this world is focused on producing happiness or fake happiness, light. Lucifer or fake light energies and shit like that. False lights and all this different shit. So most things are focused on light because light is more attractive. Darkness really has to resonate with you for you to find that. But light is just like a bug. If the light is bright enough, it can distract you even for a minute. Even for a minute or a second, it can distract you. And depending on how strong you is, you know, whatever. You can pull away from that distraction or not. So that's why it's more trees of life than darkness. And most people are not comfortable with and hanging and talking about trees of darkness in general. But even then, people that are comfortable in darkness get too comfortable in that darkness. So it's many different levels and lessons and teaching points that you have to figure out on these trees, which ultimately, like I say, help you learn yourself to become a trend, to become a light or a sun or a universe. Because any of those, the sun, it has planets that revolve around it, that has many different things on it and organisms on it that grows and flourish. Then there's a universes that have many different lights in it. It just depends how complex and how deep you want to be. Do you just want to be a solar system for a minute? Some people, it's a process. You become a neighbor. I talk about this. It's just like a church. You first start out with a few people in a tent in a parking lot. Then you become maybe a little small church, a medium church, mega church. Same with a neighborhood. Or it's the same thing as neighborhoods. You start with 1 or 2 houses, 3 houses. You got a cul-de-sac. Then you got a block. Then you have a small neighborhood. And so forth and so forth and so forth. The shit just keep growing till you have that's why I was going with it. Then you have a neighborhood. To a point you have a town. To a point you have rural town, then a city. To a point you're damn near a state. Like Washington, D.C., they just saying some shit like that. That's the ultimate exoneration that a city can be. Like Washington, D.C. Like it's so powerful that it's damn near a state. To a point where damn near it's a country. Washington, D.C. run the country. So it's damn near a country. So that's what we're doing here. You keep riding, you ride a little tree, you find a little tree of life. It may not have a bunch of nutrition, but you eat that tree, you do what you can with it. For my metaphor, it's noodles. This tree ain't got much nutrients, but nigga, you gotta eat them noodles. You gotta eat that processed food. To a point where you can keep eating off of that till you can become more efficient and abundant to afford more shit. And then you're like, okay, all right, now I'm a little more healthier. Still got a little processed food in your diet, but as you get more and more, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. The trees you're able to fuck with are more productive. This is also going to, when I talk about resistance and support in the last podcast. Once you get out of that one bracket, it get easier and easier and easier because the trees that you fuck with, the trees down here have no nutrition. I talk about that. It's so hard. You got to eat so much. You damn sure got to pull a tree out the roots, eat the whole goddamn tree. And there's many people eating at that tree. So it's like, it don't even have enough time to produce nutritious fruit because it's so many people needing it and fighting for it. So you get to another spot, that tree way more productive and more abundant. So it takes your light, but it also gives you a certain level of nutrition to help you thrive longer. And same, you get higher and higher. And you can also translate that into connections. When you at that certain level, base level, connections you have, not gonna really get you nowhere. You get to this level, connections gonna start making you move more and more. And you just get more and more connections to a point where you like, you got so many connections, you don't even need no more. You trying to keep the connections away, like, all right, I am too connected. So, yeah, man, when panic hit that hole on the fucking head. With the hammer on the head. When he talked about the trees of life and photosynthesis is why we trapped here. Yes. These trees are processing and transmuting your energy and finding ways to manipulate you to stay there. With the marketing, advertisement, masses, or how do they say, keeping up with the Joneses. It's many different ways and scenarios that get to keep you trapped there. But yeah, the game is riding the trends. A lot of us ride the trends that's followed by mass, social, or not mass, the masses. And like I say, when you're eating out trees that's by the masses, best believe that bone is gonna, by the time you get to the carcass or the tree, that hoe picked apart. Ain't nothing left but the bones and scraps. If that. Cause if you're too late, nigga, you got birds eating it. It ain't even your pack no more. It's whole other species at this motherfucker now. Let's be real. Y'all gotta realize it's the same shit. It's the same shit. So when you fucking with trends that's riding by the masses, yes, them hoes can hit, because if the masses are riding that trend, yes, it's a good chance that you can become productive just because of the odds. But how fast that trend may die out, who's controlling that trend, what's controlling that trend, it's not feasible to keep wanting to fuck with that consistently and productively. So yeah, in the beginning, you may have to fuck with the trends that the masses are fucking with to find yourself and cultivate yourself. Whether it's feminism, whether it's red pill, whether it's government issues, whether it's politics, whether it's sports, like that shit may help you find something in yourself, whether it's being an analyst, whether it's being a talking head, whether it's being a historian, whether it's being whatever. It's going to help you find your little niche in the world. And then you could be like, okay, I can translate this niche and this talent into many other spaces. And then you go into another space and you cultivate it more and more and more. Like football, I became a leader. I wasn't a great leader, but I was a leader just by action and just by my talent. I moved to different spaces. I started to see how, yes, I'm a leader, but that shit was getting me in trouble because I didn't understand my leadership position fully yet. As far as like, I can't talk too much to people. I can't have certain conversations with people because it's going to affect the environment much more than if somebody regular was talking about it. So even in these new spaces, yeah, I had something that I knew was powerful and strong, but going into a new space and a new tree, it helped me learn it faster, or it helped me learn it even more because it's just a new perspective and a new dynamic on it. Especially, and I didn't have the talent to be confident anymore, so it was a whole new perspective looking at in these new spaces. So I say that to say, yeah, it could be something that's mainstream, whether it's sports, whether it's art, whether it's whatever. It could be mainstream, but that's if excuse me, I'm talking so fast. If the trend benefits you, ride it, but be careful not to make it a religion, because if it's a trend by the masses, it's not going to be a religion for long. And if it's a trend by the masses, a lot of times it's already probably flawed and ran with some ulterior motives, because the masses are not in a productive state. It hasn't been in many millennium. So when I say use the masses, it's more like fertilizer, because the masses is full of shit. So yeah, you can use that as a trend, but you ain't trying to live in shit your whole life. You at one point, all right, I use that as fertilizer. Let's move on. Let's move on in a sense. That's what I'm trying to say. It can be, the masses can be used, because, I mean, we're alchemists. We can use the masses, but I wouldn't suggest that as a tool that you use thoroughly and consistently throughout life. But yeah, in the beginning phases, you may have to use the masses and things that the masses are using, right, in general. For instance, right now, the masses are into spirituality, yoga, and shit like that. So if you catch the wave now, or in stocks and rebellion and shit like that, so you can catch the wave now. It's toxic. It's not full of depth because the masses have it. But if you catch the wave now and you cultivate it for yourself, you come out a whole different person, deeper than anybody else in the masses that's gonna come out of this. Because they just gonna follow another trend. It's spirituality and yoga today. It's gonna be Satanism tomorrow. So you can ride the trend now and be like, oh yeah, let me catch the spiritualism wave, but take it deeper than what the masses is. Because if you don't, I promise you, it's just, you're going to get lost and caught up in the sauce. Because like I said, the masses, bro, it's a different ball game. And it's not easy. Because like I said, that's like the bottom level. When you got to play with the masses, when I talk about support and resistance, it's like the bottom level and having to deal with that. It's hard to get out of that shit. Because like I said, to keep it up with the Joneses, everybody lives that way. There's not many examples. There's not many connections that's going to help you get out of it, because everybody's doing shit the same way. until you get to that next bracket and you start to find people that's like you, and it makes it a little easier to monkey branch and become more productive until you even get out of that space into the next space above that, which is, once you do that, I mean, shit, the connections just get easier and easier and easier because the shit is more filtered out. So when we talk about Drake, my favorite bar from Drake, or one of my favorite quotes from Drake, the shit that's the real shit gonna be here today, the fake shit gonna be gone tomorrow. So why did I say that? A lot of times the fake shit is not filtered out at the bottom. That first space and resistance that I always talk about, a lot of that don't get filtered. So as you get to the next one, it's filtered, so you run into more people like you more often. And you keep doing that, you keep doing that, you keep doing that, to a point where you're surrounded by people and you only know people that's like-minded like you, and everybody you run into is just another, do you feel like putting in energy to get into another bag at that point? Because everybody's productive. And it's like, do you have enough time to add more production? That's what it gets to that point. Because things are so filtered out. When you meet these people, for you to even get into these spaces and rooms with you, they ain't even gonna question you, because it's like, if you're in a room, in a space with me, oh, you put in work. So if that's the case, you already know how to work. Let's just keep doing that. They ain't questioning your credentials, just because even if you might have got there through fucking graduating and or school, you could be a dropout. It don't matter. It don't matter your path. Long as you in that room, that's the credentials enough, because they put themselves in spaces and they put themselves in the ivory tower to a point where they don't be around peasants. They don't be around people that's not like them. Like, think of, bro, people that's super focused in life, they don't want to be around people that's not like-minded like them. Why? That's a waste of time. They find people that's like-minded. So once you get to a certain level, yeah, it's filtered out, and you don't have to worry about, is this person fake? Is this person trying to scheme? Because at the end of the day, even if they was, I have enough money to beat their schemes, or I have enough money to, like, your schemes and jokes, like, and wisdom. I have enough money, wisdom, resources to see that shit coming from a mile away at this point. And people in and people in this space, like when we talk about people that get to those certain levels, like, nigga, they're not pulling tricks and shit anymore. They just got well-ran systems. Like, that's it. And it gets to a point, can your system mesh with our system? All right, let's get it. Let's merge. We got a merger on the way. More money. That's it. So, yeah, man, this tree of life conversation shit, I can keep going for days, honestly. But, yeah, that's about it, man. There's many trees of life. There's many trees of darkness. They're supposed to be tools, but they often become religions. That simple. And those tools are supposed to be to cultivate us, grow ourselves to become our own tree. So where we're our own light, and also absorbing, attracting other lights that's like-minded and want to be like us. And if you're a good person, and if people like that watch this channel, I will hope that you're a good person and think you're a good person. You're going to be mutualistic to the people that's giving their light to you. You're going to give it back to them. So it's not like you're absorbing other people's light and you're not getting anything out of it. If they're going to ride the trend, they're going to have to put in work. If they're going to try to ride your trend, they're going to have to put in work. And simultaneously, if they ride your trend, if you really that trend, they're going to reap benefits from it regardless. So, yeah, man. That's the game that's being played here. Panic opened up some shit, unlocked some imagery that made it even more clearer. We come down here and get absorbed into these trees. And you can go watch Panic. He break down, he talk about the what, the who, and then it's the why. Why do we get absorbed by them, or why do we come down here, or whatever? And I already said it. It's to cultivate yourself. But a lot of people can't get past the why. And another thing, and this will be my last point. There's so many trees of life. We think life's so sweet and so cool, we can just eat from any tree. No, bro. And that's the thing. It's so many, like I said, it's so many lights. It can easily distract you because you're like, oh, that tree's successful. That tree's successful. But it's not your type of successful. You eat from that tree, you get food poisoning. Somebody else eat from that tree, they get all the nourishment in the world. Why? Because, yeah, I think An animal can't eat all fruits and vegetables and shit like that. They're allergic to certain peanuts. They're allergic to certain fruits and vegetables. So the same with us. We're allergic to certain trees. Certain trees literally drain the fuck out of us to a point where you see negative reactions. Those are usually stuck in those lower level spaces. But yeah, a lot of that usually happens to people stuck in those lower level spaces. You eating from trees that don't have no type of chemical makeup or chemical compatibility with your body or your makeup. So that'd be a lot of our problems too. We be keeping up with the Joneses and try to get on somebody else's tree or trend whole time. Like we know that ain't for us in a sense. But that's more kind of complex, and I'll kind of leave that alone because yeah, that's for a special type of people, man. Everybody's not in that boat where they just going to chase after trees just because it looks good or just because it's the new thing. A lot of people already know that, like, all right, it's always something new. I need to stay focused and consistent on what I've been planned and what I need to do. Yeah, you can make adjustments and adaptations, but for the most part, you know your plan and your shit. So, yeah, like I said, man, every tree is not healthy. Even though a tree can be healthy for others, it may not be healthy for you, due to whatever reasons. The requirements that tree may need from you, the amount of light that it may need from you, or whatever. So be careful with these things as well. Don't just be like, oh, I've seen thousands of people eat from this tree. Okay, well, that's Christianity. Thousands of people have become successful and made a life off of Christianity. Does that mean you're supposed to eat off that tree too? No. There's thousands of people that became successful and cultivated a life out of government. Does that mean you're supposed to eat off that tree too? No. I can keep going with that. So when you realize, yeah, there's many different trees out here. What trees are you latching onto? And are they productive for you? Are they cultivating you like you want to be? Or like you should be, in a sense? I don't know if you want to be, should be. Do you feel the growth? Do you feel the transformations? So, yeah. Think I wrapped it up I'm just trying to make sure I wrapped everything up before I get up out of here. Because I hate wanting to be like, oh, I ain't say this. I need to make the whole video over again. But I think that's about it. Understand. Because this is straight thought-provoking and mind-opening in the first place. But even then, when you start putting so much shit into it, you can clearly see the science behind it. So, yeah. When you tie into, we get trapped in these trees of light and darkness. Because we're light and trees absorb light. They can't survive without light. We're that source. Be careful with your source of energy. Be careful what you give your energy to. Whether there's certain entertainment, whether there's certain TVs. If this shit is not cultivating you, it's definitely draining you. Every tree is draining you. That's the point. Every tree is draining you. Now, is it a mutualistic draining? Are you getting nourishment back? Because even all trees take a certain level of work, but some are more rational than others. They'll ration off. They'll give you certain nutrients versus other trees like, nah, keep working. Keep working. We'll pay you a little later. And that's the thing. You just have to understand that. So me saying that all trees are draining to some point, but what type of fruit are these trees giving you? Are these trees giving you sweet fruit, bitter fruit, ripe fruit, nutritious fruit? It could be bitter, but is the shit nutritious at least? It don't gotta taste good, but at least is the shit nutritious? Can you at least say that? Is it productive? Does it help you? Does it fuck making you feel good? Because that's subjective as fuck and perspective as fuck. Does it nourish you? Does it grow you? Does it push you towards transformations? If it's not doing that, best believe it's draining you, so you need to be careful. So I advise you to watch everything you absorb or observe. Be careful, because all of that is a part of draining your energy. Whatever you absorb or observe how do I want to phrase that? Because light reflects light. So whatever you observe is in your vicinity of your light. So for you to observe it, your light has to be shining on it, right? If your light's shining on it, it's taking it. Because that's the reality we're in. Because, I mean, most trees are taking. I don't know any tree that don't need light, but it's giving out energy and nutrition. I don't know no tree that, how the fuck it get nutrition if it don't have light? So if your light is shining on it, it has to be able to, it has to absorb it. Because it's reflecting your light. And to reflect it, it has to absorb it. So the thing is, what is it sending back? What is it sending back to you? Because it's a reflection. So it takes your energy, because you start the, when they say chicken and egg, you start it. You start the initiation process. You shine your light. This thing observes it, reflects it. Now, these trees, now look at the tree like a mirror now. It could be a foggy mirror, it could be clear mirror, or it be spotty mirror, or a crack mirror, or shit, a tinted mirror, a see-through mirror. It's many different mirrors it can fucking be. But that's all going to determine how it reflects back at you and how you receive it back. So if it's not clear, if that tree's not clear, if it's not filtered, if it's not productive, if it's not mutualistic, it's going to reflect back it's going to reflect back less than what you gave it. And throughout time, you end up in the red. You end up in the negative fucking with that tree. Because every time you give it, you get something in return, but it's always less. It's never more. It's never equal. Be careful with those trees. A lot of us don't have the luxury because most of the trees that we deal with are all draining with a little bit of give. But that's for people that's in that low level of support. Work with that shit. Work with that shit. Work with that shit, because if you don't, you're gonna keep utilizing them and just be complaining and stuck in the ways that you in. That's simple. You gotta use what you got. I know it may suck. I know that these trees are not very nourishing, and it takes a lot. They require you to go to work 8-10 hours a day, even sometimes overtime, and your bills still be barely paid. And these are essential bills, not even like luxury bills. So, did y'all see that orb? That hoe was on hood. That hoe went, it was right here. It was right in this area. I'm pointing at the camera like y'all can see. It was right in this area. But I thought it was a reflection, but I had to process that hoe for a minute, because them hoes happen like that. The hoe had a little wavy to it. Yeah, I thought it was a reflection, but I'm not picking that hoe up no more. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and play that. So you end up in the red, you end up in the negative. Yeah, so I know it may suck because these jobs are draining, and just to get you have to work with these. You got to work for these jobs, and they require all your energy and all your attention. And they don't give a fuck about you, even though they may say you're family, we're family. They don't give a fuck about your feelings. They tell you to drop your feelings at the door, come in here and be completely professional. Don't talk, don't gossip, just work. They don't all they do is just give you and then give you a paycheck that it's not worth your value to that job, because you're doing multiple jobs when you get there every time. But they paying you for one job description, and you being that hoe doing 3-4 job descriptions. So, yeah, that shit sucks. But the only way you're going to get to that next level is using what the fuck you got, because that's all you got. Flipping them coins and them ducats and making them as useful and transmuting them to your best abilities, because if you don't, that's all you got. And you playing with the little bit that you have and shit. You don't have that, you really fried. So you better work with that shit while you got it, while you still got the energy to even get through that shit. Go ahead, do that, man. Put your head down, get through that work, because you gotta think. Ain't no other trees just gonna pop up. And if it do in that space, you think other niggas not gonna eat off that tree like you wanna eat? Everybody around you hungry. In this space, and then I talk about this the first space that everybody kind of gets in. So as far as like, we're still surviving. We stuck in this family cycle or ancestry cycle or shit like that. Most people are down here because they ain't got too many resources of abundance. So when a tree that do pop up that's mutualistic or some shit, it's just like a good job that pay $20 an hour, 1,000 applicants. You think you the only one that's seen that shit? No, there's a lot of fucking people. So you gotta take what you got and manifest with what you got. Transmute that shit with what you got. This is the rich dad, poor dad mentality. I'm not saying stay at a tree don't ever switch trees, because that's where rich dad, poor dad kind of, you might get lost in that. Be like, man, I don't never want to leave a job because I keep repeating the same cycle. Nah, bro, if it ain't following your trend, dip out on that hoe. But for the most part, utilize it the best as you can while you can. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. I know that for a fact. But the research and the research is out there, and there's many trends that's popping up that you can follow and catch a wave. Just put your $30, $40 together, $50 that you make, that you have extra a week. Start saving it. Eventually put that into something that you find that's trending, and then maybe that'll boost you up to the next space, or just high enough in that space to a point where you're moving differently or more consistently, and at least even in the lower space, at least you're moving consistently in that space. Because it's people in that lower space that's not even consistent. Like I said, it's people at the bottom region and the higher region. And people at the higher region, let's just metaphorically, are more likely to bust to the next bubble. And the people at the higher region are more consistent in these supports and resistance. Y'all go check out the last podcast. I'm basically remaking that whole, or merging those two videos together. But yeah, man, I think I down show summed it up now with the ended up in red, and talking about how hard it is in that initial space that we all end up in. So that's been good. That's been it. I got this dropping now, and 2 other podcasts ready. Literally 1 video already recorded, ready to go, and then I got another one coming. So I know people be mad at my inconsistencies, but I mean, I gotta figure myself out. Can't be consistent. I'm about to try to say something smart, but I can't be consistent if I'm not feeling it. And or honestly, I'd be going into deeper levels of knowledge that take a little while to develop and break down. Like I said, there's many reasons why I don't make videos. It's not just one. But I'm getting back to it. I'm getting more consistent. So my energy is getting back around to it for whatever reasons, and I'm not gonna question it. That's how things work. Was off for a good 3-4 months probably. I don't know how long. Honestly, I ain't been paying attention. As far as when the last time I was consistent with making videos. So yeah, y'all gonna see a little bit more of me. Especially at this job I'm at now. All I got is time to think. and if I'm thinking, it's not like I'm taking away from my job and making it a little more stressful and shit. Literally, I just sit there and just assemble pieces all day. Just assemble pieces. So literally, it's like tying your shoes, because the piece is so simple to assemble. I can just get lost in my mind and explore for 8 straight hours. So yeah, y'all may be able to get some more information out of me. For sure. So, it's been only about 40, 50 minutes. We out of here before an hour. Big doses. You know I never could get out of here in an hour, man.